Hi, I have a quick announcement before we dive into today's episode. I've opened a few new spots for my 90-day program called the Inner Oasis, designed to help high-achieving women who are stuck in chronic stress and burnout to retrain their nervous system so that calm, sleep, and balance become their default, not a temporary break. I will be using a unique blend of sound healing, energy healing, and journaling. So if this is something you want support with, you can book a call at www.inneroasis.org or use the link in the description to get your personal 90-day recovery plan for free. Now, let's get into today's episode with my next guest. Hi, Riana. Thank you for coming to Realigning and Thriving. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for coming. And today we're going to talk about women and how to achieve the goal to get our best life, on this earth. It's not easy, especially for us. So, you do a lot for women. Also, you have a podcast, so we can talk about that. And when I was looking at your website, I really like that sentence when you said it's time for women to rewrite our story. And you have high achieving women. I really like that because that's also what I do. And I like the fact that you help them clear what held them back and finding the life that is meant for them. So can you tell us a little bit about that, how you do that?
So really, my methodology, if we look at kind of the credential piece and the lot of words piece as a board certified integrative neurosomatic practitioner and an identity architect for high achieving women, that's a lot of words to say that I work with high capacity women who have created a life they're proud of. But there's this piece missing. And oftentimes that's extraordinary love that matches the life that they've built. And that can be romantic love, that can be self-love. And it's also for the woman who is at this place in life where you know that there's just more meant for you in your life. And you're either not sure what that is or how to get there. And so to your point of, kind of my tagline has always been, I don't know if you could see that, but your very best life, right? But since I was my late teens. But the truth is you can't go from being held back or the heaviness of past pain, childhood trauma, failed marriage, failed relationship, a failed business, a friendship that was lost, whatever it is, to just living your very best life, right? We have to clear before we can create. And that's so important to understand because we have to clear the story to create the life. So many people talk about, I want a different story. And before we can even rewrite your story, first of all, you got to stop telling the old one, right? So we have to clear the story to create the life. And we have to clear the cycles to create the confidence. Everything in the world is cyclical, right? And when we look at our life, it's cyclical. Usually 7 or 9 years, certain things keep popping up. But after certain experiences, we kind of have this thing where it's like, I don't know if I even trust myself. I thought I knew, and look how that turned out. So we have this inner kind of, I don't know, is this a red flag? Is this a good idea? Am I really crazy? Am I picky? I have no idea. And then we don't make decisions. And we have to clear the patterns to create the partnerships because we want incredibly fulfilling partnerships professionally, romantically, personally, with our friends, with our family, with our kids. But when we don't clear the patterns, we don't get those partnerships. We just get more of the same, which is 99% of the time what we don't want because that's where our brain focuses. And we actually clear the resentment to create the results. Most high achieving women have some resistance around something. They almost get what they want, but they never quite get there. And I always will say, whatever it is you're resisting, the real question is underneath that, what are you resenting? So we got to clear the resentment to actually have the life that's meant for you. And lastly, we have to clear the loss to create the love. Even if that was a marriage or a relationship that you knew wasn't good for you to be in anymore, you still have to grieve the loss of what you thought it would be, what you wanted for it from, on the onset. So we have to clear the loss to create the love.
When you talk about that cycle of 7 to 9 years,
yeah,
it's that's because it happened to me. It took me 7 years to get over my ex and to forgive him and to forgive myself and not the resentment for 7 years. That's a long time to be mad at someone.
That's a long time. Well, the good news is the thing about my work that's so unique is It's weeks, not months, not years.
Yeah.
And we're not going back into the story that caused the pain and the trauma in the first place. We're not reinstalling that neurology, right? You've done the work, you've done the therapy, you've talked to your girlfriends, you've read the books. All of that's beneficial, right? That's great. But at a
Trust your
certain
girlfriends.
point, when you keep telling the story and you keep talking about it, you just stay stuck in that, because the body is, everything is cellular memory. So every single time you're telling that story, whatever it is, your body is re-experiencing it. And those neural pathways are being reinforced of like, okay, well, this is what this is what we're expecting. This is what we're putting out there. This is what we're focused on. This is all we're going to get. So instead of, finding a partner that's everything that you do want, we're mostly in that space of, I don't ever want to be in a relationship again where I can't trust someone. I don't ever want to be in a relationship where I don't feel cherished and valued. I don't ever want to be in another situation where I feel like I'm begging for love and attention, like whatever it is. But the unconscious mind doesn't hear the qualifying don'ts and nots. All it knows is
Hmm.
what you're focused on. It's like giving your car the GPS directions. You say, here's where it is, here's where we're going. And I use that example because I have absolutely no sense of direction. Like, we come out of a door, I go left, I should go right. So I have to like literally use my nav system or my maps on my phone for everything. But it's so true, and it's why so many, especially high capacity women, go, what the hell? Like, I'm emotionally intelligent. I'm very smart. I'm a good human being. What is with this part of my life that I'm still so stuck?
Yeah. I was going to ask you why so many successful women thrive professionally, but they struggle to experience the love that you desire. So you think because they think like in the negative way, I don't want this, I don't want that, but they're supposed to say, I want this, this is what I want. Maybe change the wording in your mind.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. I think the other piece, I mean, so it's important to understand that if we think about the body, everything from the neck up is the conscious mind, right? So it's we use it all day long. It's our goal setter. It's everything we know. It's 10%, which means the rest of the body, everything from the neck down, is the unconscious mind, the other 90% of your brain. And so if the conscious is the goal setter, the unconscious is the goal getter. It's the operating system. And it's that literal library of everything you've ever experienced in your life held at that cellular level, right? And so when we are thinking about how things show up in our life and how we process, every single day we think between 65,000 and 85,000 thoughts. And 90% of those thoughts are recycled. It's why it took you 7 years, because it's the same thing you thought about yesterday and the day before and the week before and the month before and the freaking middle of the night and then 5 years ago, right? And and the problem with that is 75% of those recycled thoughts are negative. And again, in that from that reference point of, I don't want this debt. I don't want this, extra premenopause weight on my body. I don't want this relationship. I don't want this job that I hate. And all you're doing is giving directions to, this is what you're going to continue to get, because we don't get what we want. We get who we are. That's why frequency is so important.
So what does it really mean to clear to create then in the context of love and
Well,
identity?
really in anything. And my framework is the same, whether we're having a conversation about you being able to find the love that's meant for you to match the life you've built, or you are rebuilding your life in a transition time. The framework's the same, right? Clear, create, and claim. But before we can clear anything, we have to get clear. And this is the second part of the answer to your question about why women who can achieve so much get stuck in this relationship area. It's because most people think that they are clear about who they are and who and what they want. But when we really get into it in the way that I do this work, um, most people say, wow, I've never been asked it that way. And I've never actually gone that deep. So when we really do a full values elicitation and the non-negotiables and the desires, which creates your clarity codex or your menu, then all of a sudden now we can work with that. So it's just like going to a restaurant and popping in and sitting down, and the server comes by and says, what can I bring you? And you say, oh my gosh, I'm so thirsty. Bring me something cold. And I want to start with salad. And then I want to have, give me some protein and vegetable. And then they bring you an iced tea and a Caesar salad and a lovely roasted chicken and some beautiful roasted glazed carrots. And you got exactly what you ordered. Problem is, you wanted sparkling water with a bunch of fresh limes and arugula salad with fresh figs and goat cheese, a beautiful piece of halibut, and some roasted asparagus. So you see the difference. You got what you ordered,
Yeah.
exactly what you asked for, but you didn't get what you wanted. So that clarity piece becomes the foundation for anything. And then we can do dysfunction detox and get rid of all this stuff that's keeping you stuck, right? And we do that in a way, again, that's not going back into the old pain. We're not going to unpack the thing that happened when you were 5, that you kicked the soccer ball into the wrong thing and then you felt like you were dumb, so then you had to be quiet, like all this stuff, right? We're not doing any of that. We're not going to talk about your ex. We're not going to talk about your dad. We're going to release anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, and all those limiting beliefs and limiting decisions that have come from all of our experiences in a way that's painless and peaceful. So if you think about every single one of those negative emotions has a ribbon or a piece of twine or leather or whatever comes to mind. And every time we have an experience that's significant with those emotions, a marble goes on that ribbon. And they all have their own, right? Anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame. They all have their own ribbons. So when something happens today that makes you feel angry or have some shame or have some fear, it's not the today thing. It's the 40, 50, 60 years of marbles. That's the charge, right? That's the gestalt. And that's what we get to release. And when we do that, now you have room for what's meant for you in your life, right? It's like a freaking pantry. My
Yeah.
pantry was so full of crap recently. And I took it all out and I put it in the kitchen and I cleaned the pantry. And there were so many expired things like crackers and pasta that was half open and who knows how long it had been sitting in there and whatever, chicken broccoli, like expired stuff, threw it all away. And then what was left, what was good, I put it back and it was all organized and it felt amazing. But it's the same here. All of that old expired neurology and identity and ways of thinking and being and processing, when we don't get rid of that, then we can't have the life and the love and all of the things that we want, right? Because there's no room. So once we've gotten clear and we've done that dysfunction detox, we've gotten rid of all of that stuff. Now we get to actually find out, who are you? Who are you now? Who are you today? Who are you outside of the societal stuff and the titles and the labels and the noise and the stuff? Like, who are you at the core? And between now and dead, what do you want? What do you want for your life? And then we get to move into the create stage, right? And that's where these things start to come to life. And then this is really important in the middle of that, because if we go back to that dysfunction detox and we're going to blow out strategy and neurology and again, ways of thinking and speaking and behaving that doesn't serve you, if we don't replace it with anything, then you end up in that maddening circle that you see so many people in of like, I've done all this work and I had all these ahas and I was feeling so good because I've been in therapy for years. And then this something happened. It's like, bam, I went right back to the old way of being, the old patterns, the old being, because the unconscious mind can't fill in the blank. So if you're going to get rid of all the dysfunctional stuff, you better replace it with something else. Otherwise, it's just going to go back to what it knows. So this is where we actually get to install all of that new neurology, behavior, strategy, etc. And then now that we're super crystal clear on what and who you want, we've gotten rid of all the stuff. We understand who you are now. We've replaced all of that neurology. Now we get to do a really fun thing. And let's play with, one of those things that you say you want, whether it's a relationship or a trip to Italy or whatever. We're going to reverse engineer that. And we're going to do it in such a way that now you have a actual plan and a blueprint. So when life comes at you, because it will, and you're like, I don't even know what my freaking name is, let alone what I was going to do next to achieve this goal that seems ridiculously far away. But when we start at the end and I ask you, and let's just play with this for ease, let's play with a trick. So if you go anywhere, where would it be?
Right now, I would like to be, I don't know, like in Bali.
Okay. So let's say that what you said as part of this is like, listen, by December 31st, 2026 or sooner, I am celebrating fully booked my dream trip to Bali, right? And my question for you would be, okay, amazing. But what has to happen in the second before you could call me and say, I booked my trip?
That I get the fund to go there.
Okay. Well,
all the time off.
Right,
For my
right. So
family.
maybe you got, you looked at your phone and there was an email confirmation from your travel advisor saying, you know, your accommodations are booked, your flights are booked. Like the thing that it made it like official, you know that it's booked,
Oh, okay. I know what you mean. All right, all right, all right.
right?
Something like tangible. Oh
So
yeah. Okay.
then we anchor into that. What does that feel like? What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? Are you jumping up and down? Is somebody with you? Are you alone? Like what's going on with all the senses? And then we get to install that experience on your timeline so that your brain experiences it as though it's happened, because the brain doesn't know the difference between experiencing something in reality and experiencing something with all the emotions. Because remember, it only takes 17 seconds of holding a thought with all the feeling to either create new neural pathways or reinforce the current ones. So when we do that and your brain gets to experience that, it ignites the reticular activating system, and the brain is now knows exactly what to look for the people and the experiences and the opportunities and the resources that you would not have ever seen before, because we see what we're focused on, right? So now we have this little bouncer in our brain looking for all these things that make sure that we actually get to have this, achieve this, right? Because most people set a bunch of goals and they don't achieve them. And the reason that happens is because if we are starting from today and we're saying, all right, great, by the end of the year, I'm going to book this trip. What do I need to do? Got it. I need to do this. All right, perfect. Problem with that is you miss like 80% of the steps because the unconscious mind can't fill in the blanks going forward. But when we micro step backwards and we say, from that moment where you saw the email that everything was booked, what has to happen just before that? And just before that, and just before that, all the way back till today.
So is it like an exercise of visualization? You have to visualize something in your mind of those different steps
No,
for your
so
mind
we do the
to agree with
visualization
it.
exercise of the moment that you see that, in this
Yeah.
case, the email, but then we
Yeah.
micro step backwards the actual plan so that you
Okay.
have step by step. So all you have to do is literally look down and go, oh, this is the next thing I need to do. This is the next thing I'm going to do. This is the next thing I'm going to do.
Mm,
Because we micro step backwards, we reverse engineered it from that moment of seeing the email to today or whatever day you do it.
okay.
And then you get to move into the claim stage, which is where you get to own and integrate and embody this version of you. And when you own that, a few things happen. Number one, you know, that old like not trusting ourselves and that confidence piece, that needing some external like tell me that I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing, it's that's gone, right? And this is where you get to fall in love with yourself again. And this is where you get to hold boundaries confidently, and you get to communicate your needs brilliantly, and you get to, you know, deepen the richness in every single relationship that you choose to keep in your life. And then you get to integrate that into your relationships, into your decisions, into your work, into your day. And then you get to embody her and live and love and lead from this new frequency where all of the old identities, all of that old stuff, you're not available for it anymore.
You said the magic word frequency. I like that. Not word. Frequency,
Mm,
vibration.
so
um,
important.
yeah. Did, I mean, since you've been doing that kind of work, did you notice any common emotional blueprints in women that make them stuck always in the same relationship patterns?
Well, a lot of it is because they're always talking about what they don't want any ever again, right?
But they don't
It's
want again,
they
yeah.
So people end up marrying the same person over and over in different bodies, dating the same person over and over in different bodies.
I
But
know, right?
yeah, but from a frequency standpoint, it's
I've been
really
there.
important to understand. So I like to use music to kind of to paint the picture. So what
Mm.
is your favorite kind of music currently, or one of your favorites?
Right now, I would say music. I listen a lot of
Pop?
pop music right now.
Okay.
Yeah, pop music.
And what would be a genre of music that you either just really can't stand or you hate and it's horrible?
Oh, metal music or something like that.
Ugh, I'm with you.
I
Okay.
can't. It's not even music for me.
Yes, exactly. Hard no. So I want you to
Hmm.
imagine that everything you want, and for those of you that are listening, I need you to actually put in your favorite, think about your favorite music and your least favorite music, because if it's not pop and metal, this won't mean anything to you. So slot in yours, right? So everything you want for your life is on Sirius XM 111, and it's all pop all day. Everything's on there. It makes you happy and you're singing and whatever. And a lot of times, right, we feel like we're hanging out in these, consciously in these very high frequency emotions, gratitude, joy, peace, and all the things. And there's some truth to that. The problem is unconsciously, the voice in your head, the old fears, the doubts, all this old stuff running the show, right? All of that old programming and those old patterns, unfortunately, is hanging out down here in these low frequency feelings: fear, doubt, shame, guilt, anger, rage, blame, justification, all of that. Well, that is XM channel 50, and it is all heavy metal all the time, and you can't turn it off and you can't turn it down, and it's just blaring in your face. And the more that you hate it, the longer you sit there. And the point is we don't get what we want, we get who we are. So my question is can you hear fabulous, fun pop music on the Metallica station?
No.
Not a chance in hell. So how are you going to hear the pop music? You have to change the frequency to go to that
Change the
channel.
frequency.
That is how our life manifests, right? So it's like we are all governed by 4 states: physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. So the physical, of course, is everything tangible that we can see and touch and feel and hear. It's our job, it's our finances, it's our relationships, it's our dog, it's the car that's dirty, it's the closet that's full of junk, it's it's all the things. The wonderful things and the things that aren't working in the way in which they could or should. Now, if you think about that, our physical life, like a cake. And let's say we make a cake and the cake, we take it out and it cools and we take a bite of it and it tastes horrible. How are we going to bake a better cake? Well,
Try again, a different recipe, or
yeah, we'll look at the ingredients. Maybe we put sugar instead of salt, or maybe like baking soda instead of baking. Like, we're going to look at the ingredients, right? And so when you think about that, as far as our human experience, the cake is our physical. The ingredients are the spiritual, the mental, and the emotional. And it all starts with our thoughts, because our thoughts mix with our physiology, which becomes our state, and our emotions, which then become our behavior, which becomes the blueprint of our life and how we're anchored in. So if you want to bake a better cake, you got to adjust the ingredients. So if there's anything in your life that isn't working for you right now, like it's not working in the way that either you wish that it could or that it should, then the question is, just like a cake, which you put all the stuff in the bowl and you mix it up and you put it in the pan and you put it in the oven and you bake it, and the cake is the last thing to come out, right? Because you can't pull a cake out before you mix the eggs and the flour and all the things. So same thing. Whatever's going on in your life right now that you're not crazy about, it's the cake of what you're thinking, what you're processing, what you're saying to yourself, what you're saying to the world, and what you're focusing on. And the beautiful thing about that is it's very easy to fix. So I talk a lot about values in my work, and my values for me as a person and for my business are love, generosity, impact, the belief in what's possible, and being a magnet for miracles. And being a magnet for miracles is my favorite thing to teach. And a lot of what we've talked about in the last 30 minutes has really been a lot of how you actually do that. But it's hours. Like, and this is not an arbitrary number, it's neuroscience, but in 72 hours, I can rewire your brain and what you're thinking about, what you're focusing on. And you would be amazed at what shifts in your life.
I would love you to talk to someone I know, because this person has been in, I don't know if she needs to get to the bottom or reach rock bottom. I don't know what's going to wake her up from that bad relationship she's in. And this person, I've been trying everything to help her. And she really needs to be, somebody to rewire her brain, because I think she thinks that's what she gets what she deserves, which is not
Oh,
what she
yeah,
deserves.
that's a lie, right? And that's the lie we believe. We're not worthy of love like
And
that.
somebody else.
Somebody else, it's for
She's in,
somebody else.
I'm telling you, in the worst. But the thing I noticed last time, because we don't live in the same country, so last time I went back home and I visited her and I was talking to her, and the person called on the phone saying, "Okay, I'm going to come and pick you up," blah, 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 anyway. And I listened to their interaction on the phone, and I noticed that she actually liked the attention from this person, even if it's not a good person, but she actually liked the attention. So I'm like, okay, so maybe that's why you're still in there, because you think that you deserve that kind of attention, not a better one. And I think, what is it going to take for you to get out of there?
Well, she never will when it's up to her own self, right? Because here's the
I
thing,
know.
you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that
Oh,
created it, right?
I stopped. I'm like, from that day on, I was like, okay, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm out.
But the good
Yeah.
news is, you know, a lot of my story is similar. Like I got married very young, had a divorce, had our miracle child. And when she was 6, we did a divorce, and I felt it was supposed to be like really calm and agreeable, and it turned crazy. And then, you do all the things that you're told to do, and the therapy and the girlfriends and the books and all the stuff. And again, it's like, okay, great. Okay, great. But now you have evidence that you are not lovable, or you're too much, or you're not enough, or whatever. And then you go and have another relationship and something else, and what happens? And you're like, well, never going to happen for me. And I literally, the work that I do in the world, I created for myself first. And I never thought that I would find the love that I had dreamt about. And 2 years and 3 months or 4 months ago, I married the greatest love of my life. And he is everything that I dreamed about, of how
Yeah.
someone would love me my entire life. But I was certain it would never happen for me. I was too old. I was too much. I was too whatever. And so the good news is that for your friend and anyone else listening who feels like it's too late for you, there's absolutely, I don't care how long it's been a certain way, it has no bearing on literally what can change tomorrow. Like, that's the beautiful thing about tapping into the other 90% and working in the unconscious, because that's where the magic is. That's where it happens. That's where we get to rewire things. That's where we get to clear all the stuff that keeps you in the voice in your head, which is lying about your worth and your value and your age and your whatever, that's telling you that you don't get to have this, or you don't deserve love like that, or you are, whatever.
That's one of the things she told me that was like 10 years ago. So she's older now, but 10 years ago, she was like, I'm too old to find somebody else. I'm like, are you crazy? First, when you're too old, you're beautiful. Are you crazy? People meet people in their 70s and their 80s. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? I mean, like you say, she has to want to get herself out of there. I cannot do anything. Because sometimes I'm thinking, yeah, I wanted to ask you, how can a woman know whether she's settling versus to realign in love? And how do you know the difference? To say she really settling, for sure. So how do you know if you're settling or you're to realign?
Well, when you ask yourself, like, when you wake up in the middle of
Is
the
that the
night,
right person?
what?
When you wake up and is it the right person?
Yeah. Well, no, when you wake up in the middle of the night and it's 3 o'clock and you're staring at the freaking clock and you're like, if I fall asleep now, I can get 3 more hours of sleep. And your brain says, haha, good luck with that. And we're going to replay every conversation and every what if and all the
Oh.
things you didn't do and all the things, right? So when you are laying there and there's that part of you that it kind of goes, is this really it for me? Or
Yeah.
you are walking down the street and you see someone do something and you go, oh, I wish my partner would treat me that way, or would do
Yeah.
that with me, right? Or a
Yes.
movie or a
Yeah.
book that you're reading or whatever. Like, those are clues. Those are clues that there's something not aligned for you. And again, it's going to be a combination of values and non-negotiables. And then the desires are all the things we want. But the non-negotiables have to be non-negotiable. And that's what happens when women settle, is that they had what they thought were non-negotiables. And then they said, well, maybe just this one thing is fine. It'll get better. Well, I am 50 or whatever. Like, when I just turned 50, so I'll be 50. So, maybe I can't be this picky this stage of the game.
Yeah.
But maybe
Yeah.
that thing that I said was a deal breaker for me, and you just keep degrading and degrading and degrading those non-negotiables. And all of a sudden you're in a relationship that you feel like either you have to pretend to be in, you're begging for love and attention. You find yourself more lonely in this relationship than you would be if you were not in the relationship. Like all of these things, but then that voice goes, yeah, well, you missed your time. Suck it up, buttercup. This is it for you. And then you believe that and then you stay. And then it's this longing for life or for a relationship or for love that meets you and matches you and makes you feel supported and celebrated and desired. As high achieving women, we are very multifaceted, right? We can be, like in our badass running the world energy and also want to like put our hair in a bun and lay on the couch and have you play with my hair and take care of me. You know what I mean? Like you can
Yeah.
be ambitious and soft. You can be driven and still want to be taken care of. Like it is not either or. It's an and. And
Mhm. And we
and
should have both.
you can absolutely have both. You can have all of those things because
Yeah.
you're not just one thing as a human, right? I mean, it's interesting the different focus on and the placement of value that we put when we look at describing a man or a woman around ambition, right? And some women, it's always surprising when they're like, oh, I don't want to talk about winning or whatever because that sounds very masculine. And then
Yeah.
my friend Jen always says, so what, feminine is losing? Like that's crazy. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. But it is, it is really important. But again, like being able to know that this isn't about, going and talking about it anymore. And a lot of people, quite frankly, they're nervous to say they want to do any work because they're sick of their story. They've told it a million times. They don't want to tell it again. So that's what I say to you, beautiful people. I won't even let you tell the story. So you don't have to worry about that. It's irrelevant. It actually keeps us from the thing that you say that you want. So yeah, it's all available and it doesn't have to be hard and it doesn't have to take a long time. You just have to really be with somebody who can help you with that neuroscience piece, rewire that brain in a way in which
Yeah.
actually kind of fun and do an actual, dysfunction detox and go through all of these parts and pieces so that you are complete, and you're complete and whole just as you are right now. But if there's a part of you that's longing for something and yearning for something, whether it's a relationship or just to have that confidence in yourself in a transition time, maybe you're, all of a sudden finding yourself having to have a career pivot, or you're now an empty nester and you're like, I don't know who the hell I am without being a mama first, like all of those
Yeah.
things. And you have decades of emotion stored in your body that can be released to make room for between now and dead, you getting to have that life that you really dream of.
So you said 72 hours to rewire the brain, right? You can do that in 72 hours. So your framework, is it because you said I can do that it's going to be years or months, it's weeks. So your framework, your program is how many weeks if somebody want to sign up?
So I have kind of like I have a couple of different
Different.
options, of course.
Okay.
My base offer we call the intensive, and it's about 8 weeks, so it's very fast.
Nice. Yeah.
Um, we also have an offer for the woman who says, I want to go be pampered and do this work. And we do it in 3 days, but we do it somewhere, in a beautiful setting with lots of like every single thing you could ever imagine before you even know you need it taken care of for you, or you just go and immerse in pampering and rest and this work with me in person. So there are definitely options. But yeah, the intensive, which is, the core, let's get you through all of that clearing and that creating and getting you set up for your what's next. It's 8 weeks, sometimes less.
Can you do it online or is it always only in person?
It is all online. The in-person experience is if you want to, that's called the arrival.
The
And
3
that's
days,
where
yeah.
we go away together somewhere amazing. If you love the beach, we go to the beach. If you love the mountains, we go to the mountains, whatever it is. And then if you're listening to this and you're in the Bay Area, every couple of months, I do an event called the Brilliance Brunch, where I bring together amazing women in the Bay Area to have incredible conversations.
Where? I am in the Bay Area.
You are?
Where are you doing this? Yeah,
Okay, where are
I'm
you?
next to Fremont.
Okay, well, I'm in Marin. I do
I'm
this
in
in the
Fremont.
Valley. The next one's April 11th.
In San Francisco?
So you must come. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So what's going on during that lunch? What do you do during that brunch?
So it's about 2 hours. Sometimes it's 2.5. It just depends how chatty we get. But it's a very small, intimate gathering, and we really do. It's really for women who are done with fine, who have, again, they're high capacity women, and they want to be in a room where it's not about performance and it's
Mm-hmm.
not about competition. It's not about,
Yeah.
like, here's my job title and here's my blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's about who are you? What do you need? What do you want? What are you going through? And then I actually walk through the framework, and we do some, like, what's now, what's next. So you leave that brunch with clarity that you didn't have before. And you typically also leave with a new friend that you didn't have before, because what happens in those 2 hours is people feel seen and heard and connected, and in ways they never do in rooms like this, because those rooms are all about performance. And
Yeah.
this is for high achieving women, but this is not, you don't come and perform. You come and you get to just be and have conversations with women who get it. Because, a lot of times, especially entrepreneurs, right? We kind of live in a bubble and we're in our head a lot. And we think, well, it sure seems like everybody else has their shit together. But why am I'm not where I should be. I should be farther. I should be different. And then you come together in this that's curated, and you go, oh, I'm not alone. We're all dealing with our same versions of some of this stuff. And it's just, you leave feeling very filled up and clear, and with, things that move the needle for you personally and professionally.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So you can give me all the information. I put them in the podcast show notes. Right?
Absolutely. So one last thing I would love to say, and if it's okay,
So
that I'd love to
funny.
give your listeners a gift.
Yeah.
So there's something that I created called the Extraordinary Love Index. We lovingly refer to her as the Ellie. And the Ellie answers the question, what is standing between you and extraordinary love? And it is not a what Disney character are you quiz. It's not a 5 quiz, 2 minutes. This is a 40-question diagnostic. And so give yourself a good 10 or 15 minutes so you can really thoughtfully answer, because I'm going to send you a 28-page personalized report looking at 9 key areas. And I'm going to give
28
you
page? My
28
God.
pages. I'm going to give you insight into you in a way that you've never had it. And whether you are asking that question of why is love the thing I can't figure out romantically, or you're like, I'm in a relationship, but there's these voices in my head about worth, whatever, like self-love, romantic love, whatever. Every person in the world should take the Ellie. And I promise you, and I can't wait for you to take it. And then I want you to come tell me what dots were connected, what things all of a sudden made sense for you when you look at the recognition, the attachment, the trauma, the communication, all of it. So my gift to all of you is to go take the Ellie, my treat, and then really lock in and read through that 28 pages and get to know yourself in a different way. That will, and the other thing that's so great about it is it's not just like, oh, here's the thing. It's like, all right, based on what you said and your score in this area, this is what you might be experiencing in your life, or this keeps showing up. This feels familiar. This is the cost of you staying there and doing nothing about it. And here's something you can actually do right now to help move you forward out of that stuckness for whatever areas those are. So it's actually actionable, so that you can do something right now to move yourself toward what you're, the aligned dream of who you are and what your life looks like.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that's going to be very appreciated. So you're going to send me, is it like a link?
Yes.
I
And
think
it's
just
also,
okay.
you can you can find the Ellie everywhere. You can, my website, rianamalia.com, and then I'm at Riana Malia on all the socials. YouTube,
Okay.
Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn,
All
Substack,
right.
all the things. And you can always find the Ellie. But yes, of course, we'll send you all those links.
Okay, Rihanna. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for all the information. I'm sure a lot of high achieving women are gonna be very appreciative of what we talk about today because it's really needed. I have a lot of different people, different guests talking about this whole rewiring your brain and not letting the past influence your future. So I think a lot of people are waking up and they start living their best life for real this time. Yeah. Thank you, Rihanna. And we put, like I said, all the information on the show notes. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.